So I guess, guys, we
We should
have,
start?
we shall kick off this event. So
Yes.
over to you, Bidisha.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Generative AI Expo powered by Wyse and Applied Singularity. We're super excited to host almost close to 100 attendees now while everyone's still joining in. And today we're going to delve into the applications of AI, commercialization of generative AI, and also GTM motion for SaaS startups. While everyone else is joining in, would everybody be able to put in the chat where they're joining from so we get to understand demographics and also get to understand where everyone's coming from? This is the first time I'm hosting a webinar. Excuse any embarrassing mess ups. Before we dive in, I would just quickly introduce the guests. Our keynote speaker is Yash from Fasthr.ai. Yash, if you want to raise a hand, say hi. We are hosted by
Hey, everyone.
Hi. We're hosted by Sayam from Wyse and Nehal from Applied Singularity. We have product showcases by Puneet from Aspiro and Chinmay at CPD, GPT-PPT. Apologies. So almost everyone's here. Sam, should we do a quick trivia quiz that we had prepared? And
Yes.
just to understand how familiar everyone is with AI?
Sure. Let's,
Yeah,
guys, we have a quick quiz just to
very
start the session and check. So is my screen visible to everyone?
Yes.
Cool. So we'll put up one question at a time and we quickly want everyone which option is the correct to put up in the chat. And then we'll also reveal the correct answers. So first question. Let's see how many knows, how many of you know basics.
What's the full form? 2, everyone says 2.
Okay. And guys, don't use GPT for this quiz. So yeah, most of you are wrong. So the answer is 1.
No, the answer is the second one.
Cool, guys. So let's go on to the next question.
Yeah.
Which of the following application is of the generative AI? All. 3, 4, 3. I think this everyone should get the correct answer to.
Yeah.
3. Most of them are correct. Great. Let's move on to the next question, Vidisha, revealing this answer.
Yeah. Correct.
So yes, guys, it's 3. Most of them have been correct. So put up the like if you have any queries or any opposing thoughts, put up in the chat or maybe just raise your hands or unmute yourself to discuss on any question. So let's move on to the third question.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are techies in this to take up the
Good
question.
answer for us. Yeah.
Great. Cool, guys. I guess this also everyone is able to guess it right. The next question is this. What is the term used to describe an AI system's ability to understand and interpret human language? NLP. Okay. That's right. So the last question, we don't have any options. So to put up an answer in the chat directly.
Yeah. It's a brother to some, a teacher to some. But what fun names would you give it? Jack Gupta, it seems. Jarvis is correct.
Chillums, okay. Babaji, Prerna says Babaji.
Agony aunt.
Cool, guys. So I guess you all guys are warmed up.
Everyone has a fairly
Thanks,
okay
Deepanshu.
introductory level understanding of AI. So yeah, I think we'll go ahead and introduce our keynote speaker. Since everyone has a fair understanding, Yash will take us deeper into what generative AI, what fun potential generative AI has in today's space. But to introduce Yash, he's a London Business School alumni, and he's currently pursuing his executive master's from IIM Calcutta. He built his first ever venture when he was only 19, and since then he hasn't stopped. He's been a startup operator for close to 5 years now, and in industries like edtech, holographic technology, AR, VR, 3D printing, and so much more. What haven't you done, Yash? Currently, he's the CEO and founder at Fasthr.ai. He has a vision to build the world's most powerful talent screening platform powered by generative AI. Fasthr.ai is backed by leading investors such as people from Book My Show, Viacom 18, IIFL Wealth, Park Plus, Virag, Taskcare, and so many more. Before we get into the fireside chat with Yash, we thought, it'd be fun to have a poll about, we're going to say three statements about Yash and try to guess. So one of them is a lie and there are two truths in it. So in the chat, we again want people to guess like which is the truth and which are the lies. So I've just put out the three statements. I'll also read them out for you. So the first statement is that Yash can write with both his hands, keeping the notebook upside down, literally with the book upside down, but it'll be looking straight for you like a mirror image. The second statement is that Yash has explored about more than 40 countries so far. He has friends from over 100 nationalities. And the third is that Yash can binge work for 40 hours straight, no breaks taken. What do you think, audience?
We have got two answers.
2 and 3 is the truth, and 1 is lie. The third is right. I think everyone put down whichever you think is the lie. That'll be easier for us. Rajesh thinks
I
the
think
second one is a lie.
some of the people who already know me
Yeah.
are giving right answers. And
Right. The majority of people think the first is a lie, Yash. If 40 hours is true, then we need to know the reason for what you were doing for 40 hours straight. Yeah, I think, Yash, we've taken about 3 minutes. Why don't you reveal for us what's the lie? What have you
I
been
think the
doing
second one is
specifically?
lie. I have
You
visited
think?
30 plus countries, but
Yeah.
I don't have friends from 100 nationalities. That's absolutely not common.
Wouldn't that be fun? Wouldn't we already have acquired like half the world's market? But
Exactly.
sure, ambitious. Cool. Perfect. While the others still guess, I think we'll get started on the questions with you and then open the floor for questions for the audience. I think I would like to start out with, Yash, how do you see artificial intelligence and automation shaping the future of talent acquisition, given that you're working at the job tech space, the HR tech space?
Yeah, I think I'm an accidental founder in talent acquisition space. That was not the space I was exploring initially, right? We did 7 pivots in last 2 years and across 2 funding rounds. Even after we raised our previous funding round, we pivoted again, and our current investors are still to be told about Fast HR. We have launched Fast HR recently, so we are sort of at an exciting space right now. Telling more about how you decide, right? That's very critical when you talk about building a successful startup, right? We have changed industry over 3 times so far, and a very interesting but a contradictory view to look at it is, what do investors think about a specific industry? And you might say, you know what, Yash, you're a founder, like you actually deep dive, you're talking to people every day, experts in the industry. Yeah, exactly. We were Fast Jobs previously, right?
Yes.
So you're talking to people, a lot of people, and everyone is telling you a lot of different things and you're gaining insights from people. But then why am I saying that you actually should talk to investors to understand what their thesis is about your space? Because an average investor probably would have spoken to 50 or 100 odd players in your own space or with the space you are thinking of entering, right? They already know what models work, what models don't work, why they don't work, what challenges come at scale, pre-scale, or initial getting that initial product market fit, right? So the best thing to do when you're thinking about launching in an industry is create a landing page in 5 minutes or one day about that industry or your idea, your assumption of what that idea should be. Reach out to 50 investors and try to get a one-on-one time with them about and just reach out and say, hey, I am building something exciting in this space. I find that my hypothesis is that XYZ works well and is a problem to be solved for. What do you think? What thesis does your fund have about the problem statement I'm solving or this space in general? And that will give you an outlook on how to look at a problem statement, right? And how to actually navigate through applications or AI or for that matter, building in that space. Second, what you should look for whenever you're building a platform or anything, right? The way we looked at it is which space or which function in a company has highest wallet share. There are three functions, right? The marketing has the highest wallet share. Then you have sales, which has the highest, second highest wallet share, right? People are spending insane amount of money to get more sales, get more leads, generate more revenue. And the third is talent acquisition, right? People are giving away crores of rupees every year to vendors, different data platforms, to different like SaaS tools. And fundamentally, that was a space where we realized that yes, listen, sales and marketing seem to have a lot of different players to exist already. There are massive, large organizations, CRM tools who have already occupied this space, and potentially there are winners too in this market, right? So talent acquisition is a space where we see a very few players with a large market capitalization and who have sort of acquired a large chunk of market. So that's where we thought that this is the right space to tap into as an industry. And also we had members like Vidisha and other members who come with a deep experience in talent acquisition as a space. We were fortunate to have them as early members of our team. Even before we built the product, we actually identified which is the industry we want to tap into. What is the wallet share of that industry? How much are people paying for, and for what exactly are they paying for right now? Are they paying for talent? Are they paying for sourcing talent? Are they paying for screening talent? How much? So a lot of these answers boil down to us narrowing down to building Fasthr.ai. And that's how we actually ended up in talent acquisition space. Now, a lot of us get very excited when we hear about AI, right? And its applications. A lot of us have already, built GPT wrappers, right? Built layers built on top of GPT. So what you would have realized is a GPT wrapper can be built in a matter of few days or a couple of weeks or a month for that matter, right? And it's fairly relatively easy to build. So then what's the problem? Why are there not enough successful startups in this space, right? Why is there no PMF for a lot of large players also in AI space? The reason is people are struggling to monetize on AI. Monetization is a massive challenge. People are still giving out tools for free, trying out, are at a pre-PM phase, and are actually trying to see what is the usage like, right? How people are using it, how people are consuming it. Is it sticky? Is it not sticky? One biggest problem I see today, which most startups who are at early stage building in AI is they are selling to other startups. And you can say that this is a very like anti-hypothesis statement, but that's the reality. The reason is, even though you think startups are like very excited about new technology, they are quick adopters, early adopters. The biggest problem is startups churn very fast. Early stage startups fall in SMB segment, right? This segment, at least 30-40% of this, your customer base, if you have 100 customers you acquire who are startup customers, at least 30 to 40 of them will die within the first year. Most of them will have inconsistent usage based on what their business priorities look like month on month basis, right? Some quarters might look good where they're using your product to a great extent. Other quarters will be like zero usage altogether, and then you get inconsistent data. And that is where I see how AI and automation is influencing the space as talent acquisition. We see that there are two massive opportunities which lie here, right? One is in sourcing talent, and second is in screening talent. But again, we were smart enough from early on to understand that in sourcing space, you have Naukri, Monster, and Indeed, world's largest data banks, who potentially have spent years and years accumulating that data and that legacy. And data is abundant in India. In India, you post one job, you have 10,000 plus applicants who come in, and your time goes in actually screening. So that is a category we chose, right? How do we replace different touch points of screening while not replacing the people involved? What our learnings have been so far is there are three type of people who exist, right? Buyers. One who are super excited about everything AI and want to automate everything with AI without actually understanding whether it should be automated or not. Second type of people exist who are anti-AI, who feel that AI will take away their jobs and who are threatened by AI. So if you talk to such folks, they are going to be the biggest gatekeepers between you and the actual customer within that organization, right? Whoever is the core buyer or the decision maker, they are going to be the biggest gatekeepers. And third type of folks are the ones who potentially are more aware about AI, who understand what exactly AI can automate, who have a very clear understanding of a use case. And those are the right type of people you want to have even conversations with about AI, not the first one who was super excited and say that, you know what, tomorrow let's start implementing this in our company. But someone who takes a pause, actually understands whether this use case will work or not, and then going ahead and implementing it piece by piece for a single process at a time, seeing the efficiency and impact of that automation or AI implementation at that small piece, and then seeing how it fleshes out. So we at Fast HR have also taken a similar approach, right? What our proposition to organizations is right now that, listen, when you're hiring someone, you receive thousands of applications. You are spending, let's say your HRs are talking to these 1,000 people on call to understand, who are relevant, who are not. Then they are giving a technical assessment to these folks where there is a maximum leakage because of your traditional MCQ platforms. And then again, because MCQ tests can be easily cheated on, you are again taking one first round of interview to gauge their basic technical skills, which could have already been gauged in the assessment. So we come in and we are replacing your first screening call plus your assessment plus your L1 interview in one single step with our conversational AI interviewer. And that is what our core proposition to an organization. We are not saying that we're going to automate your entire process right now. These are just 1-2 steps we automate, and this is how much money we save you, and this is how much time we save, right?
Yeah.
Again, so that is a very interesting. Yeah, I think there are a lot of questions which have also come in.
Yeah, Deep had a really fun question, and you have sort of like addressed a lot of it about like, what stage we're using, what stage we're trying to come in Fast HR.
Yeah.
So you were just getting into that. And Deep also wants to understand how have you validated that you found PMF? I mean, I think you ought to explain that we've just launched.
I think, yeah, we have just launched, right? I don't think we have a PMF yet. But it is very important, Deep, to understand what defines a PMF for you. Like for every company, it is very different. Is it the number of customers? Is it revenue? What is the right indicator of PMS? I think most startups miss on that, right? And we have also missed on that multiple times in the past. But eventually, last 2 pivots, we realized that there are some very fixed metrics you should track to see whether there is a PMF, right? And a lot of you don't have that 1 year, 2 year to see, what is the customer churn, what is my ARR, because ek saal dikhta hi nahi hai most startups ko. They die before that or they pivot before that, right? You can't sustain 1 year without a decent amount of capital. So how do you identify or get early signs whether there is a PMF or not within the first 3 months? That's what defines whether you will see the next 9 months or not, or you should see the 9 months or not with the same product, right? So for us, the metric are as simple as that. We want to track usage and we want to actually be able to map. If we are telling our customers that, listen, you will save 60% of your cost and you will save maybe 80 hours per hire or 40 hours per hire, we actually want to map that for a customer and see whether we are able to save that. Now, interesting question, like what I've seen in most startups, and we have been guilty of that, is we run behind all the customers. Like मतलब जो पैसा दे देगा वो कस्टमर हमारा स्टार्टिंग में, एंड देख लेंगे फिर एक बार 50-100 लोगों को भेज देंगे, फिर ऑटोमेटिक उसमें से पता चल जाएगा who's the right ICP. I think that's a interesting approach. Take like one way of thinking is take whatever money you get from customers and build your MRR, ARR and go. But the second approach is only solve one problem for maybe one or two ICPs in one segment and for a one micro subset of a function initially. Laser focus. So for Fast HR, our PMF will be when we acquire only two or three mid-market customers who actually are able to save the amount of hours and cost per hire. When we are able to deliver on like that metric, let's say 5-10% standard deviation, we believe that we have an early sign of PMF. And once we have that, only then double down on hiring your sales reps, doing that scale up GTM motion, right? Initially, do not hire anybody in sales. Founders are the best sales reps that are possible, and founders have to learn how to sell. If founders can't sell, then nobody can sell the product. And that's a fact.
Yeah. There's another question. How are you focusing on helping candidates to prepare? At HR, do we also cater to that side?
So like I said, right, our focus has been very narrow. Focus on only one problem, one segment, two ICPs. So our focus is completely on B2B front. Again, AI on B2C front is very challenging. Monetization in generally in Indian B2C is very challenging, right? And I'll tell you why. Indian market is very, they don't care a lot about time. They are very free, Indian buyers. They will go on meetings. They have a lot of time, but they're very sensitive to money. While in US market, they care a lot about they value the time a lot. And that's why they're willing to spend money to save their time. India is exact ulta. So in Indian market, if you pitch solutions like I will save your time, people will like, okay, I have enough time right now. People are free. But when you say, okay, I'll save 50% of your money, like 50% of your cost, or I will help you earn more money, that is when people get very excited about your solution. Okay, will I make 20% more revenue this year than last year using your tool? Great. I think I want to try this out. So India is a very cost sensitive and revenue sensitive country. So you need to know what you are pitching to in India. Any other questions, Vidisha? I see a lot of questions popping in.
Yeah, I think a couple are already been addressed by Nihal, and you have addressed almost in good detail the GTM strategy. Do you have anything else to tell us about, what primary factors should businesses consider when evaluating the integration of GenAI in technologies and into their workflows, into their products?
Absolutely. I think that's a very important question, Vidisha, and a very interesting one too. The reason is, after speaking to so many enterprises and mid-market companies, what I realize is everybody internally also has an R&D team or 3 people, 4 people team. They are also figuring out themselves of where AI can come into play in their existing processes, right? And that's interesting. We might think that there will be a surge of new platforms which come in, and I'm talking like a CRM platform or an ATS platform, which come in and will create a new wave of AI and like will have massive adopters and will change the legacy players. But the truth might be a slightly different, right? Based on my existing understanding, the truth might be that existing large players like a Freshwork or a Zoho will be the first ones to acquire the right type of AI integrations in their workflows because of the deep data they sit on and have that deeper understanding of what features are being used and what not. So that's something which is very critical to see how these existing players are changing. And your best bet today of tapping into an enterprise or a mid-market in India is going to be building integrations on top of the existing players. The biggest fear of a buyer in a mid-market or an enterprise is, okay, let's say hypothetically, I am a sales VP. I am implementing a new AI tool which helps me do better sales. I am pitching it to my CEO, CFO, everybody in the organization. I am the champion for this tool. Based on my suggestion and advice, they have bought the tool and they integrated it on top of their ATS, or they bought the tool and platform and everybody was moved on the platform. Suppose it doesn't work the way it promised to work. It's AI, it's new. Then the sales VP will definitely lose their job, right? In that case, because, and that's what they're scared of. Whenever a new software is being implemented, the only thing champion is scared of is, if this doesn't work out, then what? And since it's new, there is not enough trust on the product yet.
Yeah. Yes, do you want to address another question on the chat? Can you see the questions? There's Raghavendra's question
Yeah,
and
there are a lot
Rajashri
of
as well.
questions.
Yeah, see which one you can
I
find.
think Deep has a very interesting question. What is Yash? What is your moat here?
Mhm.
So Deep, let me break this question in two parts, right? First is I want to address one thing, right? So a lot of folks will tell you that AI is a moat. Unfortunately, AI will not be a moat a few months down the line for anybody. So right now, the folks who are building, unless you build like a infra, okay, in infra place you have a great moat which comes with your custom model and training, but not when you are building like a wrappers on top, right? You are using a GPT layer or something like that or at the backend, and you are building custom solutions on top of that, because everybody will have access to AI. AI will become cheaper and more widely used as we see in coming years, right? So AI can never be the moat. What can be a moat? And I was discussing with one of the very senior founders, like one of the early members of Freshworks, what can be a moat fundamentally for us is owning entire part of the supply chain, right? Like the entire workflow of talent screening. We taking a stab at owning the entire workflow of talent screening one step at a time. Eventually, like let's say right now we are looking at replacing three stages, like the screening calls, the assessment, and the first layer of interview. How can we also own the resume ranking or resume screening part? Can we own background verification or like the second or final interview part? Can we own maybe compensation benchmarking or salary negotiation part, right? Can we own the entire supply chain of recruiting or talent acquisition? That is somewhere our moat will come. And I think moat is very subjective also for early stage. Early stage, you are just trying to achieve that initial sense of PMF. Moat comes when you have something truly differentiated, and with the limited resources, building something truly differentiated is very challenging.
Cool. All right, Yash. I think that was quite interesting, and I would like to also, we'd also like to look at the product showcases, and then at the end of, yeah, we see more questions coming in. So towards the end, we can address that. I would, before I pass it on to the hosts, I would like to quickly introduce myself. I lead growth at Fasthr.ai. I'm very open to interacting with anyone who's on here on LinkedIn. And yeah, we can go ahead and introduce ourselves later and have a conversation. On the side, I would like to reintroduce our host, Sayam, who's the founder and CEO at Wyse. We also have Nehal, who has founded Applied Singularity. So I want to hand it over to them. And Sayam, yeah, if you want to tell us what you're building currently.
Sure, Vidisha. Thank you so much for the warm introduction. Hey guys, first of all, thank you all. I hope so far the session has been quite interesting and useful for everyone. So as Vidisha introduced me, so I am Sayam. We are building Wyse. So Wyse is the India's only discussion and a collaboration platform for the working professionals. And we enable this through building communities. So do check out the app. We're already live. We have the AI community also. I guess you most of the folks are the part of that community on WhatsApp, the highly engaging generative AI lab. So we like the community is being run from Wyse itself. So apart from this, I'll hand over this to Nehal now. I guess we are running quite like 5 minutes late. We need to start the demos because that is the main objective of this event. So over to you, Nehal. Let's take it forward.
Okay, thanks, Sam. Okay, welcome everyone. Hope you've had a great session so far. I really appreciate all of you coming in on a Sunday afternoon. I think there's going to be a great learning time, and it's a chance for everyone to see the various things that are happening in this space. So I'll very quickly introduce myself before we go on to talk about the two interesting products that we have. So I run Applied Singularity. Applied Singularity is a community, one of the oldest communities in India, one of the largest meetup groups globally for people specifically in AI. And we are on Meetup. We have about 25,000 AI developers on our Meetup alone. We also now have a mobile app. And what you see on the screen, if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, the QR code's on the left. If you want to download our app, it also goes by the name of Applied Singularity. You can do that on the right. So I think some of you are asking about, how you can if you're new to AI, how you can kind of learn about it, get into the space. This app actually is designed for a lot of you to get introduced by just looking at different articles, curated articles, videos, all of that we put on a daily basis. We conduct events of our own, but we also curate very nice events that are happening from across the world. We put those up, we put courses, selected courses for you so that you can quickly ramp up your skills. And finally, there is a jobs board where you can find interesting jobs. Today, there are so many great jobs coming from, large companies like your Google and Amazons and all of these, as well as small startups that are doing very, very interesting things. So our app helps with all of this. One of the services that we're helping, we've built this up as a community. And so there's a lot of give and take. There's a lot of knowledge sharing that happens. But additionally, for those of you who are a little bit deeper along your job search, we do help you prepare specifically for these jobs, right? So it starts typically with a CV review, then go into doing some mock interviews for you, help you get really into that mind space to be able to get interviews from companies and then go and crack those interviews. And of course, we can help you with a little bit of insights into what the company does, what are the kind of pay packages. We can help you with negotiation and all of those things. Now, while all of this is going on, of course, we are going to start looking at how we can use GPT to help you with your entire preparation for all of these things. But while the GPT part is still in kind of development, we're currently working on using GPT-4 for all this. We will still be providing services on a manual basis. So feel free to reach out to me. I can help you with anything that you're looking for in the space. Otherwise, just join our app, join our meetup community, and really learn from one another. So I will stop there and let me stop sharing my screen. And now I would like to start off with a product showcase. Yeah? So our first product, we will hear from Puneet Lamba, who is the co-founder of Aspiro. So Puneet is an IIT Kanpur alumnus and a Yale dropout. He spent close to a decade in the healthcare industry, so he comes with a lot of experience in this space. He's had stints at Novartis, at JP Morgan, at Ansys Health, and he's also worked in a healthcare startup. So in his last role, he repeatedly saw firsthand how customer-facing teams are, unable to scale that knowledge that they have, the tribe knowledge that they've already kind of, gained over so many years. And those insights are what has led to his current venture, Aspiro. So Puneet, welcome. Very happy to have you here. And
yeah, thank you so much, Nehal. Been really interesting to see all the conversations that have been up. I'm super stoked to interact with you. Yeah.
Absolutely. And we are very keen to see what you have also built here. But before we start off, I just want to have a quick rapid fire with you, just to get our audience to know you a little bit better. Yeah. So
Sure.
First thing that comes to your mind, what is the coolest thing about you?
So, there's quite a few friends in this Zoom chat also. They may be aware of this, but, the coolest thing that I've done is I've actually co-written a bunch of web series and, some really popular, comedy tours and shows. And yeah, I think, that's probably the coolest thing that I got to do, see the side of, how such creative initiatives are undertaken.
Wonderful, wonderful. And today, what can our attendees reach out to you if they need help with anything?
So definitely, insights related to, let's say, B2B applications of GenAI. Definitely on the GTM side as well, since we are ourselves, learning quite a bit about that. And one thing that I'm particularly passionate about and always happy to help others with is, practical aspects of building team culture, especially as a startup. So yeah, those three would be the ones.
Okay, wonderful. Can you tell us a little bit about your, let's say, 3 most favorite generative AI use cases?
So, comic book creation is definitely one. As a comic buff, that's definitely something, I see people doing a lot of interesting stuff with. Another interesting one that I recently came across was deciphering ancient Indian languages. And can you actually, kind of go a lot deeper in terms of, understanding what people in those times would have, kind of how they would have interacted and what else can we do with those kind of things. Since a lot of Indian scripts like dummy are, still a complex problem to solve. And lastly, of course, what I will talk about today, what can we do with regards to building very immersive, interesting coaching type use cases using generative AI? Can we just go beyond standard Copilot stuff and go a lot deeper?
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
And one favorite quote of yours?
There's quite a many, but I would say the most favorite one is danger brings immense clarity. I think for most engineers and most builders out here, that should be relatable. When you have a timeline or, when you're kind of, you can see, some adversity, hitting you and you just really want to avoid that for your team. And both good ways and bad, that gives you a lot of clarity. And, your actions and your execution just goes several notches above.
Absolutely. I like that quote. And finally, because, you're obviously in the space of creating your own content, can you tell us one movie that you have watched like a gazillion times?
So not really in the space of creating my own content, but kind of just dabble with that just to be clear. But there's this, sports movie called Miracle. It's a 2004 Disney movie. Big fan of that. I would say I watch it every year, once or twice. And back in college days, back in IIT, before inter-IITs, the entire squad used to watch it every year. It was that motivational. And the movie is about how a team of an ice hockey team of college kids, the US team, they beat 4-time gold medalist Russian team. Purely, just on the basis of their preparation and just reinventing a lot of the thought processes. Yeah, so that's pretty cool, and do check it out.
Wonderful. Thank you for that recommendation. Okay, great. So just like with all ChatGPT, now that we have done context setting, we will get started with the actual product showcase.
Yeah.
So over to you, Puneet. Please take it away.
Yeah. So let me just share my screen real quick. Let me know if the sound is there. Just gonna play a demo video.
Hi, I'm Puneet, and today I will give you a quick demo of Aspiro.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Aspiro helps software sellers practice their tactics through buyer role plays. These are voice interactions with personas that are powered by generative AI and resemble your real-life buyers. After each role play, reps also get practically useful feedback to improve their techniques. Let me show you how this works. This is Sell GPT, an interface where you can practice how to sell any SaaS product to any type of buyer. This is a sample discovery call where I'm selling Browser Stack, a popular software testing product, to this AI buyer, Matthew, who is an engineering manager at Canva. Mind you, in this case, all I have given Aspiro as context is just this customer case study listed on the Browser Stack website. As you can see, I have already asked Matthew about his team and what kind of processes and tasks his team looks into. One more thing to note, Aspiro is voice enabled, but since I'm using the microphone for recording this demo, you may not be able to hear Matthew's voice. Let's continue with the conversation. Which of these tasks have you been struggling with the most? Interesting. And how have you tried to tackle this earlier? Pretty cool, considering our context input had very high level information. Obviously, Aspiro could mimic an actual browser stack buyer much better. For example, it could have asked me highly technical questions. Similarly, different personas have hierarchy-specific nuances as well. Say, had this persona been a CTO, he may have behaved quite differently. That's why Aspiro personas keep getting better at reflecting the specific mannerisms and objections of your buyers through integrations with your call recordings and CRM data. After the role play, the reps can quickly mark how they felt about their performance on various tactics and indicators as well. And then for every role play, they will get actionable feedback to improve their performance. Note that this feedback is specific to each practice situation. What does that mean? For example, the feedback areas for practicing initial phase of a discovery call may be completely different from ending of a discovery call. Aspiro covers areas like questioning ability, feature selling tendency, sales frameworks like BANT, and many more. It also just doesn't highlight what to improve, but also gives tips on how to improve it, something that almost always gets ignored. In sales, scaling up tribal knowledge and ensuring your team's readiness is still one of the biggest unsolved pain points. Our vision is to make it dead simple for sales reps to prepare for an upcoming call or to rectify mistakes committed in a recent call, all at the click of a few buttons. We are actively signing up early design partners to co-build Aspiro. Please help us spread the word and hit us up on these coordinates to know more.
So it went a pretty, at a pretty quick pace, and I'll just, like to quickly highlight that, what we're essentially trying to do here is trying to shift the paradigm of how conversational coaching happens, right? What does that mean? Any conversational coaching use case you pick, whether it's sales, whether it's interview prep, whether it's, kind of preparing your, internal teams to interact better with each other. We believe that, till now, the kind of techniques and tools that we have used, namely your in-house playbooks or getting third-party coaches, that doesn't really work because, with generative AI, first of all, we can actually mirror how people really learn those kind of skills. Most of us, especially the entrepreneurs here, Yash was talking about that, I heard him say, whenever we are starting to fundraise and whenever we are pitching, we just get better by actually doing that, right? No matter how much feedback and how much bouncing around it happens. So can we actually make things very immersive, and can we give people the tools to prepare for their conversations, especially for B2B use cases, tangibly improving them and moving the needle. So that's at a very high level what we are trying to do here now.
Guys, now
Hello.
have a quick feedback about this product from the audience. If you have any questions or any collaboration request, just feel free. I guess we have few questions already.
Yeah,
Take that up, please.
Hello.
You see the chat, Puneet? There are a few questions from the audience.
I can see.
Yeah, you can pick up whatever you
want. So it's Deep, I think. Thank you for the praise, Ashwin. So Deep says, how are the users for such a tool, and what is the most important feature out of your stack that you are most proud of? So that's a great question, Deep. The users for such a tool would of course be sales teams, to begin with, and that's at least our initial focus. When you say ICPs, I reckon that you're talking about users for Aspiro, right?
Right.
So of course it would be sales reps, early on in their career life cycles. So these would be SDRs, account executives, specifically sales guys who are selling products that require some bit of nuances. So what I mean by that is probably a product like this wouldn't really suit, let's say, credit card sales, because it's very featureized. You basically have to ask a couple of qualification questions, and if the potential customer fits that bill, you can make a judgment around whether it will be a buyer or not. But typically, when you sell, let's say, higher ticket size products, let's say upwards of $15,000-$20,000, specifically in the B2B segment, there's a lot more nuance that comes into the picture. So I think at a very broad level, that's the ICP for our product. And you also asked what is the most important feature. The most important feature is that we are able to convert your CRM and your sales intelligence data, your entire call repository into practicable personas, right? So that's something that never really happens. There's a ton of knowledge that's always hidden, and people can't really do much with it. Whereas on the other side, managers really just never have the time to individually handhold every sales guy. So we're really proud of that capability that we have built.
Rehan also asks if Aspiro gives insights on objection handling during a discovery call.
It does. So just to be clear, the product is designed to work off calls. It doesn't work on a real-time Zoom call like this. It's meant to work pre and post call. So, but given that setting, yes, it definitely gives you inputs on objection handling, your questioning ability, and as I said in the demo, it's very context specific. So the feedback for, let's say, a cold call would be completely different, let's say, compared to a discovery call. So it looks into those kind of nuances, and we are also using generative AI for finding that, context relevance.
Right.
Yeah.
Mayank has an interesting question. Are there any privacy constraints in this case? Since for accuracy, you'd need internal case studies rather than being generic online ones, if it's being trained on GPT.
Yeah, that's a great question. So the demo that I gave was actually indeed on generic online case studies, but that's purely for demo purposes. When we work with an actual client, we do integrations with their CRM and sales intelligence tools. I think I kind of answered that, after Mayank asked the question. So we do require their actual data. In terms of the question around privacy constraints, I think that's where, the events in the past 6 months have really changed things. Prior to that, people would have really, thought a lot about privacy and all, but now everyone really wants a piece of this generative AI productivity bandwagon, right? Everyone wants to see how they, how that sort of tech can bring about a positive impact. So we haven't really, faced that issue. And I think, most B2B GenAI startups also that I'm in touch with, not really a big concern, at least for the timing. It will be a concern at some point, not right now.
Yeah. There's so many more. Puneet, do you want to take up any more on the chat, whichever you think is more relevant?
Yeah. So I think I already answered the case study question. Then there's Shubh. How do you cater extreme replies generated by GPT, and do you face any regulatory hurdles? So no regulatory hurdles for the time being, Shubh, at least for the most part. In terms of handling the extreme replies, I would say what we are doing is, as I mentioned, we are using generative AI to train and build in-house personas. So basically, let's say you have tens of thousands of calls and they cover 3 or 4 buyer personas. Our product will basically keep learning from how those buyers speak and their relative context. So they will not really while practicing, they will not blurt out anything that's kind of out of line. And in terms of managing extreme replies, of course, there's a lot of prompt engineering at building level that's also required. And it's GPT on its own is already pretty good with handling most such conversational use cases. So it's kind of been a game changer, because I can tell you that almost a year back we did build something around intents, using tools and functionalities like Rasa, but now with GPT models, I think it's much better. So Deep asks, what are some of the challenges? Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Thank you for explaining that.
Yeah, you're welcome. So Deep then again asks, what are some of the challenges you are facing with your current product? I would say there's a, so it's kind of like, a series of battles as a startup that you have to fight, right? And ours is primarily a pretty tech-centric one. The first battle that, we kind of, fought and built confidence around was, how do we convert call intelligence and data into practicable buyers, as I mentioned. But the next frontier for us would be, how can we actually replicate the kind of feedback that a real human coach could give, right? And how much more nuance could we get with that, right? And the answers there are, equally going to be intriguing. And we already have, some clarity on that. But I think, in the next few months, we're going to do a lot of experimentation around that. But that's a challenge that we're looking to solve. Then Lakshmi asks, is there a chance that in future GenAI, it could replace sales reps since it's already able to coach reps? And my meta question is, how do we know? By the way, if there's anyone who wants to ask a question in person, Sayam and Vidisha, I think that's allowed.
Yeah.
Right? People can ask that.
Yeah.
So if anyone wants to ask a question one-to-one, please do that. So that's a great question, Lakshmi. Definitely one question that gets asked a lot, on the investment side of things when we are engaging with investors. So yes, definitely, we are gonna face a situation at some point, nobody knows when, maybe 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, when a lot of these jobs are actually probably going to get replaced, right? Because we are talking about things like AGI and and stuff, right? So it's not just going to be sales, it's primarily going to be everything, right, that we can think of. However, there's going to be a timeline to it. It's not really going to happen in an instant, right? And our thesis is that as a coaching platform that is kind of building functionalities to understand sales nuances, we would in fact be the kind of player that can start automating for various activities of a sales rep in a meaningful manner, right? So that's kind of a part of the plan, when and however that transpires, but that's definitely a possibility. How do we know what to automate, what to augment? I would say it's already kind of getting pretty clear. There's a lot of basic tasks that sales guys do that are already getting automated, sending basic emails and follow-ups. But when it comes to nuanced tasks, I would say, there's not a lot that's happening, and that's why we are here at Aspiro. Sanjay says, if you turn your tool around, would it become the best salesperson? I think I already answered that. That's what Lakshmi was asking.
Yeah.
Deep says, before GenAI became cool, what was your approach for building Aspiro? I think I covered this briefly. We were using intent-based models. So for those of us here who may not be that aware, how does that differ from generative AI? So we were creating in-house data sets and consuming a lot of real-life sales calls from B2B use cases to kind of build a general understanding of how various things, what could be the various things that a sales guy could say on a call, or what a buyer could say on a call. But I'll actually kind of just quickly share my screen if you guys allow me to. This is a very relevant question, and I can just answer that using a visual. So what this typically does is, what we were really solving for is the precision problem, right? People who are into machine learning would probably immediately understand this terminology. We can give very specific responses by building in-house intent models. However, where LLMs are naturally good and where things like ChatGPT are already doing great is the human relatability, the kind of conversations that they can help you run, and just the kind of small talk and the kind of range that they have, right? So that was a miss, and we kind of, also pivoted our, tech stack to, kind of factor in for that and make the best use of it. What else? Ankit is asking, what's the primary GTM approach? So it's going to be twofold. Ankit, the Cell GPT product that I showed you is going to create some inbound for us. And of course, we're going to do a lot of founder-led sales, as Yash, Sam, and others can also mention it. You have to do that as a founder. Prateek asks, what is your tech stack for Cell GPT? What are the models that work well for this use case? If I told you in its entirety, I would have to kill you, but at a very high level, it's GPT plus some LangChain and some in-house models, which help us pick on and build on context. Rehan says, how would you define a business case for your product today? Already addressed that. Any B2B conversational use case where coaching would be required, right? It can't just be with the help of, let's say, a flashcard, or a battle card. You can actually keep following that live on a Zoom call. For example, this call, right? There's a lot of uncertainty, ambiguity in terms of the kind of interactions and questions that are coming up, right? So you've got to practice a lot for that. Deep has a lot of questions. What stage are you currently at? How much funding has been raised? So we are actually in the middle of our seed raise right now. Already engaged with a couple of people who are also there on this call for similar conversations. In terms of our customer interactions, we actually have about 4 early design partners. We just onboarded one this week, and the idea would be to really go after companies who want to solve for this, as a problem statement, right? We don't really at this earlier stage when you're looking for early design partners, and if anyone is looking for it, that would be my one advice. Don't just go for people who are looking for ROI at this earlier stage. That should be one of the factors, but you should also look at believers who can probably sit down with you and co-build with you. So that's the kind of people that we're looking to work with. I guess that's about it, and we're right on the clock.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Puneet. It was a very nice and frank talk that you gave. You've answered a lot of the interesting questions. And thank you also for this wonderful demo. It was nice to see everything that you already built.
You're welcome.
Great. So just one last question from my side on this. So all the stuff that you built with the intent-based models, what have you done with that now that GPT has come in? Did you throw that away? Have you just integrated into it?
So we are actually going to leverage that for some edge cases, right? But in an ideal world, you wouldn't really need that. I mean, that's kind of the experimentation that we are doing right now. Right? Do you still need some level of GPT plus an intent-based model, or do you just kind of do some level of, I hate to use the word, but maybe not fine-tuning, but kind of, can you create some rules or some logic so as to avoid using intent models altogether, right? Because it's a conversation, right? If my model doesn't know how to respond back as a buyer, if I can say very believably, hey, I don't really have a good idea about that, it will still qualify in a role play, right?
Yeah.
So that's the kind of experimentation, and it has to be very, very UX specific. So we're not really trying to shoot for the stars, not really trying to solve for, every answer being exactly on point. But I think that's kind of like, what I would say.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Puneet. So with that, we'll let you go. Thanks again for your insights.
Yes.
Okay, so let's now move on to the last product showcase of the day. So I'd like to invite Chinmay Agarwal. So Chinmay is currently a senior product manager at 8020 and has over 5 years of experience in building, kind of 0 to 1 products, and that is his specialty. He completed his education from BITS Pilani, Goa, and has experience across multiple domains such as political consulting, logistics, procurement, and management consulting. Now, building the right products is more of a passion for him, and that is what has driven him to build GPT-PPT, which is an AI-based PowerPoint generating tool. And just so you know, Chinmay, there are a lot of people in the community, the WhatsApp group and all, who have been asking, is there a tool that can help me do the PPT part, because I don't want to do it. So I think a lot of people are very excited to see what you're trying to build. So welcome. And just like with Puneet, let's do a quick 5-question, a quick fire to get to know you a little bit better. So starting off, what's the coolest thing about you?
Yeah. First of all, Nehal, thanks for putting me last for this fireside chat. Got me some time to prepare with able to anticipate the questions that were coming my way. Coolest thing about me, I don't know if it's the coolest one, but it definitely stand out. During the last week of my college, which was back in 2018 or so, I was on a 30-hour hunger strike to mark protest against the fee hikes which are happening in BITS campuses.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Interesting. So what help can our, the event attendees reach out to you for?
Yeah, so I actively actually mentor aspiring product managers or people who want to move into product from their existing roles. So for any discussion around that, people can definitely reach out to me on LinkedIn, and obviously around the GenAI stuff as well. Like if you are having an idea and you want to build a GenAI product and want to just having a brainstorming session, I'm definitely up for it.
Okay, perfect. I'm sure your inbox will get flooded after this. Your 3 most favorite generative AI use cases?
Yeah, other than PowerPoint generation. So I'm a very big automation fan and a bit lazy guy as well. So my 3 favorite use cases would be: 1, the GenAI could clone my voice. 2nd, it could do a video storyboarding for me, which it actually does right now as well. And 3rd, a real life avatar. So in a nutshell, what I would want in future is, instead of me sitting in the call here, I would be chilling out somewhere and my avatar would be talking to people, and it would be trained on my own chat. So it would just replicate me there.
Awesome. So you're going to generate the PPT and then have your avatar deliver the PPT also.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Your favorite quote?
My favorite quote would be, compounding is the 8th wonder of the world. And not just financially, but from skill set tech standpoint as well.
Perfect. Perfect. And lastly, one movie you have watched like a gazillion times.
Yeah. So I haven't watched gazillion times, but if it was, I would have to say my favorite movie, it would be Ford versus Ferrari. Interestingly, the other movie which I also love is Lamborghini, and both have a common theme: challenging Ferrari and pushing the engineering limits to build something new.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Chinmay. So again, now that we have set the context, let's get into the product showcase. Please take it away.
Yes, sure. Just let me know if my screen is visible.
Yeah, Puneet. Yeah, Chinmay.
Yes,
Yep, great. So for product showcase, we will be dividing it into two parts. One is the showcase itself, and then a quick journey of how we build the product, and then we can take the questions. So it's a quick video, 30-second video for everyone to see the website gpt-ppt.neftab.app to test it out. Just a second. Yeah, sound is shared. Okay. That was the product showcase. Because the product is so simple, I can just complete it in a 30-second video. And that's also the power of building a B2C product. You can keep it simple and yet deliver a lot of value there. Okay. So how did we actually build the whole product? So it wasn't a very quick journey, I would say, from having the first POC done in January 2023 to getting the live launch product, which is like will be our first MVP. And when I say MVP, I actually mean like not a broken product, but a production ready product with enough features that delivers value. So that was in April. And how did we do that? It was like in steps and a long one. So first, it was just a backend. So a very rough Python code written overnight, and then the feedback was taken on that. So is the value proposition even exciting to the people? Being a consultant, working with the consultants all around, I wanted to really know whether having an automated PPT is exciting these folks or not. So I took it to a few of my colleagues, showed them, okay, this is what we are doing. You input a topic, and this is where PowerPoint is coming. Got some feedbacks on, okay, what can get better there, but definitely excited. Second, we wanted more feedback. A good thing about building a B2C product is getting feedback is easy. Combing that and finding the relevant insights, that's a difficult part. But you definitely get a lot of feedbacks. So second, what we wanted a web hosting done. So Tavish, my co-founder here, helped us build a great product that you recently saw. And we went live, took more feedback from people, tested different personas, like, okay, if it's exciting more for students or for corporate professionals, whose expectations can be met easily, and so on and so forth. And it was a very, very simple product. It was just like you go and create a PPT. It had no other features, no optimization, could break, and so on. There are multiple issues there. However, we got the feedback, we knew what we want to build. Then the third step was we started setting up the payments. Now, having international payments enabled is a bit difficult game, because you need to then get a company registration done, get a payment partner. And in India, however much they say ease of doing business, it still takes time. So setting up the payments and then optimizing for speed, and making sure the product does not break. So that required a lot of engineering work, which if anybody has questions, I mean, Tavish will definitely be able to answer them. Fourth was the beta testing and launch. So once we had our product, we wanted to test it with, again, a closed group of users. And then in finally last week of April, we made the launch. Now, our product is successful, not once it's built, but once it's distributed. So once we had the launch done, we had to really build a distribution. And how did we build that distribution? It was one through LinkedIn outreaches. So making out posts, sending videos, Instagram network, right, reaching out to influencers, a close network who could actually share it amongst their audience. But what actually did work were the directories. So there are some AI directories out there, around 100 to 150 of those. And that is where most of the traffic is coming from and has helped us reach to the masses. And finally, what we are doing, which is again an ongoing loop process, acting on feedback, enhancing the product. The video version which you saw right now is the latest one, where the title image is changing. As we saw that the history of India showed some US monument, right? However, I think it was Mount Rushmore, but we wanted to have it a better version. So we refreshed the PPT and we got the Qutub Minar's snapshot. So that's one thing that we upgraded. It wasn't there in the first version. And second, you also must have observed that the colors were changing, right? The colors change based upon the titles in each color. So having a dynamic color scheme. That also is the latest version. In the upcoming versions, we are trying to enhance the layouts more, make it more visual, have different options. If somebody wants texts more, then there will be more of text content. If somebody wants images more, then there will be more of the images. And that's the overall plan.
That's
Happy to
great.
take
That's great, Chinmay. Like a wonderful approach you took for building this product. So I have a question, Chinmay. So is there a way in your GPT PPT to improve the visuals? So textual
Yeah.
part is one thing in the PPT, like while creating a PPT. So what about the visual and like if I want to put in videos? So are these two also handled in your product?
Right now, no. Right now we have a like fixed layout which generates the text, and what we have done is right now the image content, image changing, and the color scheme changes. But yes, what we are trying to introduce in future is the user should be able to have more control. One different and unique thing that what we are doing from TOE map or any GenAI PPT players, which Deep has asked, is we are giving control to the users from day one by giving them a raw PPT download. So whatever PPT you create, you can download that, right? No restrictions around it. And it's a editable PPT. It's not a PDF. It's not like you have to be on the tool itself to edit it. Nothing like that. What you have created, you can download it and edit it. Second differentiation factor that we have is the cost. So any player out there is at least 10 times costlier than what we have. Our target persona is students, right? And we want it to be as affordable as possible. And what helps us being affordable is being lean. So right now it's just two of us, myself and Tavish, who work on it. That too, not like on a full-time basis. So I mean, with that thinking in mind, we can obviously deliver a great product at an affordable cost.
Got it. So
And to the video part,
yeah. Go on.
So to the video part, same to your question, yes, we will introduce more layouts, ability to add content, and also we are also planning to have enterprise level information. So we understand how if somebody wants to have their own Word document converted into a PPT, that can be done. Second, if you are on a Slack channel chat or somebody has shared an article or just some discussion is going on, you want to synthesize that chat into PPT, we can do that also. These are the things that we are building. And in future, what we plan to have is connectors to all of these applications, enterprise applications, and PPTs will be just another way of talking.
I would definitely be waiting for all these features because we have a couple of investor meetings, so need help with creating the pitch decks. So I hope your product will fulfill that use case as well.
Yeah,
So,
hopefully we reach that stage.
Yeah. Now let's take up the questions from the audience. So let's do this. The people who have asked the question, can you guys put on your camera on and have a
Interacts,
interactive discussion with Chinmay, if that works? So first, like
Yeah, it can start.
Raghvendra, I guess the question is answered. Kunal, if you can put your camera on and ask the same question and have a discussion. I guess.
So I think what I want to understand is, can he upload the content like a 2 or 3 page PDF and then generate it into a PowerPoint? So yes, that can be done, but not now. We are already planning and it's in our pipeline. It's not that simple to do as well because the cost will definitely come into play. Maybe not in the current version, but maybe we will need to have a separate offering where we have to have a dynamic pricing in place, like based upon the content that you are inputting and the amount of content that you want in the slides. That could be a pricing mechanism, because the cost is based upon the content that is being input and content generated. And therefore, the more the content you give, the more expensive it gets to create one PPT.
So I have a question. Can I strictly ask?
Yes.
Yeah, sure,
Yeah,
Puneet.
yeah,
Go.
sure.
Yeah. So, Chinmay, a great presentation. What I want to ask you was, so there's a lot of players, obviously, a couple of questions are also around that. There's like Tone, now Chronicle is also, they're from India. Like, where do you really see the key value proposition, coming in? Is it about speed of generating PPTs? Is it better storytelling? Saya was correctly mentioning visuals. So, like, where do you see, with generative AI coming in? Of course, I think speed, personally for me, I don't think is a problem because there's still a lot of editing that has to be done after all these tools are used. I've tried a couple of them. So, what are your thoughts there?
Yeah. So, I mean, speed is the first value proposition, especially for students, because like a lot of students past couple of months have got just direct ready to use PPTs for their college presentations. So that has been a constant feedback that we have got. That's one. Second is storytelling. So what we have observed is people do run after visuals, like, okay, the slides should be very cool looking, it should stand out and all, but lot of times it happens is they lack in the structure of storytelling, like what should come first, what should come second and third, fourth, right? That part we want to more of say like institutionalize. So if you come to GPT-PPT, you don't need to worry about the storytelling part. The storytelling, it will take place. It will divide your content in the right structure, right? And that's what current proposition is as well, right? If you see your topic, it properly arranges it into an agenda. Okay, first you'll talk about introduction, then 3 or 4 slides into deep dive, and then finally a conclusion. That has been a focus, and that will definitely stay. And then once we have done most of this part, then we will move to enhanced visuals and layouts, so that makes stand out.
Sayam, can we mute the audio? Yeah. Oh.
Does it answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Cool.
So Deep has asked,
There's a couple of more questions in the chat. So let's take up Sanjay's question.
yeah, what is the most, okay, Sanjay's question.
Yeah, so he's asking what other inputs users can give to personalize the PPT.
So far, nothing, just the title. Right now, what we have worked is like keeping it very simple. Put the title, you get the output. In future, as I said, we are planning to have slide level content control to the user. So you will be able to having more prompts on each of the slide. Okay, for this slide, I need this content. For this slide, I need this content. And that's how you can maintain. But for right now, it's just the title, just to keep it very simple and fast.
Got it.
Okay.
So there are a couple of questions from Deep. So Deep, do you mind unmuting yourself and asking the questions directly?
Yeah, that's right.
Guys, come on, like don't be shy.
Yeah, we let the last 5 minutes just to interact.
Hi, can I ask a question?
Yeah,
Since
sure.
this side. Yeah, hi Chinmay. So great PPT. I just downloaded it. So just wanted to have your views upon about Copilot. If you would have gone through Microsoft's Copilot, right? And other PPT generators, right? So the thing is basically what I want to ask is, if you see in the video, right, they actually just input the document, right? And it creates the entire PPT based on the enterprise or the company's entire vision and portfolio, everything, right? Color combination, everything. So what do you think about future of these companies, right? Matlab, that is what I just want to know in your sense.
And yeah, future of these companies is very bright, right? The best part about building a B2C product and like such a PowerPoint generator is the market is huge. Like everyone can have a pie of the market. It's that big. Like Microsoft can easily cater to its Microsoft Office clients and help them create the PPTs based upon the document that they have uploaded. That's one. Second, then there's other products as well. So I mean, future is really bright. It's all about nailing the distribution, who gets to what set of users, and what are the price points you are playing at.
Understood. And just one more follow-up. How likely are students to pay for this kind of software? Being in
Very
college, right?
likely. very, very likely because people are paying. So we are at
Understood.
a good revenue run rate right now, and it's very simple and very cheap. So our current plans are starting from $1 per month. That's like what, 80 rupees per month. We spend more than that in a college canteen in India. And for our actual users who actually pay for us is from Europe and US and Australia, New Zealand. Out there, it's like selling like hotcakes right now because it's too
Okay,
cheap
so
for
your
them. Even
target
like for
market
annual
is
plan also.
basically, so target market is not India specific, but outside countries, right? Outside
There is no
Europe
such
and
there is no such target market. Target market is students. It could be global, and our distribution has organically spread out globally. It wasn't a
understood.
target like you
Okay,
targeted Europe or targeted US. It's just very, very natural and organic so far.
okay, thanks.
So, so Chinmay, Deep is asking these two questions. So since he's not able to
Yeah.
unmute himself,
Mhm.
so I
What is
have
the
those
most
questions.
important feedback you have
Yeah.
got from your customers yet? How are you thinking about it? So yeah, so most
We-
important feedback that I've got is from one of the most important customer. So while building a product, we always do a mom test. So I take it to my mother, like, this is how the PPT is coming. Tell me what can be done. And her feedback has been on point so far. First feedback was around speed. What time did I? Okay, done, sorted. Second feedback was change nahi ho raha hai kuch. It's just the same. Like even the title site you didn't use to change earlier. Done. Color scheme done. More on like visual site feature mein ki acha, I want more layouts, so on and so forth. So that's one of the most important feedback that we have got, not from the important customer, but from most of the customers, and we are working towards it.
Got it. So the
Yes.
second question that Deep is asking is if I think you should capture all the edits. I guess it's not a question, it's feedback.
Feedback.
Suggestion. Mhm.
Yeah.
Just like mid-journey to gather data and improve your model. So we do capture the topics that people are inputting, and one of our future plan is also to have a library of few PPTs that have been created so far. So instead of like creating one, you can just go to the library and download one of your own topic. So we will have that as well.
He also wants to know what's your tech stack and how did you capture your current audience in hindsight, or was there like a viral moment?
What is your tech stack? So tech stack is, I think, Node end to end. Tavish can actually comment better on that if there is something else other than Node being used. Second, how did you capture your current audience on hindsight viral moment? How did I capture? One is like reaching out to my own network. That was through my LinkedIn and Instagram. That was the first where we captured. Second was listing out on AI directories. I think that is the viral moment. There are a few AI directories which are constantly generating traffic for us, and I think that will go on.
Super.
Superb.
I think we have about like less than 10 minutes. Open it up for everyone. Any questions for any of the panel members or any of the guests?
So
Even
any questions, any feedback, guys, feel free to.
even on the whole webinar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, Chinmay. I just want to know if I want to create similar app, from where I need to start, what all things I need to study. Also want to know whether you're providing any courses or something on the top of that.
Hey, Abraham.
Thank you.
Yeah. So no courses for now. The time is very, very limited. However, what you want to understand is first how the APIs work, the OpenAI APIs or Midjourney or any other GenAI tools, how their APIs are working. That will be the first step. Second, you need to experiment with those APIs on your own local system just to see what input comes and how you're getting the outputs. Once you have created a systematic way of a standard input and getting outputs, then you can actually build a presentation layer upon that. That's then front-end work. But for GenAI products, it's all about playing with the APIs and the prompts.
Yeah, hi Chinmay. Just a simple question. I just
Yeah.
wanted to understand the commercials. Like you are using, I think GPT 3.5 API,
Mhm.
here. And
Yeah.
how much credits are like consumed while preparing a sample presentation, and how much you are charging for how the commercial works here.
Uh, I won't go
And then,
too much into it, but it's a profitable venture. That is what I would say.
Okay.
You
So
can
it's
check our pricing
3.5
on the
only.
product. Yeah.
Do you have GPT-4 access or is it 3.5?
We do have access and we are piloting some of the use cases with that.
Okay, means how can you give us some idea how much improved it will be with 4 compared to 3.5?
Text generation, not so much. Text generation will be as good as what it's in 3 or 3.5, but with 4, what we can play around is colors, dynamic coloring, and maybe the layouts and the other
Graphics.
aspects of,
Okay.
okay, if I input if I give an image based input, will that be converted into a PPT? Those kind of things we can play with GPT-4.
Got it.
Great. Rajshri actually had the open question for all the guests. How long did it take for you all to start from the start of the idea to first full-fledged product testing? Yash, you also wanted to touch on the rest of the GTM strategy if you want to give if you want to take on that question.
So I think I'll first take on Rajeshri's question. So Rajeshri, for us, it took us less than 3 months to actually, go from like idea, yes, 3 months to build everything and, get it out there. But the learnings came from 1.5 year of experience of working with 150 plus organizations across their hiring pipeline. So again, building process took us less than 3 months, but learning process took us a year and a half. So talking about GTM, right? I think very early stage founders, we absolutely have no money to, like buy expensive, go to events, go to conferences, buy stalls and XYZ, lot of, and like, do lead generation with, paid ads. There are 3 fundamental C's which go well, right? One is your content, second is your community, and third is credibility for early stage. And spend 5% of your effort on creating content and remaining 95% on distributing your content. And that's why even before you have your product out there, these 3 things are super important. So let's say if you know your buyer ICP and your buyer and your customer is very well defined, especially in a B2B environment, involve them in and collaborate with them in the process of content creation. Why? Because then you will become your distributors in their own networks, right? So let's say if your ICP is an HR leader, you are potentially looking to like collaborate and write something with them or do a podcast, then they will maybe share it with their own, like other HR leaders in their own network. That's how you build a brand recall and footprint for yourself. And then like Wyse has done a fantastic job, before like a broad, like a full deep product is ready, they're already building a community to, scale their distribution. And slowly, steadily, Sayam is also building credibility for his brand, right? And his individual personal brand, right? Initially, when the product is new, like for example, Chinmay and Puneet, like you have new products, right? So people don't trust products very easily. People trust people and people buy from people. So initially, your personal brand and credibility plays a very significant role in getting your first 10, 20 customers and getting early believers, because products are like eventually everyone, there will be a lot of similar products out there, but people, your relationship with people matters a lot. And another thing, what I see most of us lack is we go to a lot of events, we meet a lot of people, we engage with them, but we never follow up and stay in touch. So one practice which I do is I have a CRM. I am being very straightforward with what I do. I have a CRM of every person I meet. I bucket them into different channels. Are they my potential customers? Are they my potential mentors? Or will they be someone who will refer me to investors? What role do they play? Or they're just friends who I hang out with, right? And learn from. And I respect their opinions. So I create a CRM like on Notion, and I make sure that I have like a 30-day, 20-day reminder set. So in every 30 days, 45 and 60 days, I follow up with them and see where they are at, what they are doing. And that goes a very long way. We often forget, and there are just too many connections. We go on to make new connections and we forget to stay in touch and follow on and, see what's happening with the connections which we have already made. And that is an interesting strategy which goes on to play a very long-term role. So your GTM is ideally should be divided for a short term and medium term. In short term, it's full outbound founder credibility, and in short term credibility and your content plays a lot of role. But in midterm and longer term, you are looking at building a lot of, looking to build an SEO stack. You're looking to, do a lot of thought leadership. One interesting insight I got from a global AI SaaS leader is that within the first 3 months of the startup, they created something like 200 plus landing pages. And today, those 215 or 20 of those 200 landing pages drive 60% of their inbound MQLs. And that's crazy. Literally, they got an intern, paid that intern 10,000 rupees a month, got that intern to make like 2 landing pages ka copy in a day, had a Webflow person sit and like make those copies and landing pages live, and it worked like magic over a period of 3 months, 6 months. Again, as founders, we need to be more outgoing. We need to put ourselves out there, put our content out there, right? Because our content drives our credibility, right? Our thought leadership drives people to trust us more as people. So these are a few things which, as at early stage, founders can look at, and absolutely make sure that you only sell to one customer and you have very clearly defined what PMF means for you even before you build product. Because if that is not clear and that is blurred, right, you might think that you are doing a lot of revenue and that's PMF. It will plateau and it will start dropping after a certain time, and you'll again go to 0 to 1. So these
Super.
are like my 2 cents. Yeah.
Perfect. Cool. I think everyone shared their credentials on the chat, everyone's LinkedIn, all websites. So I think we should definitely continue further and follow up on all the conversations we've just had. Once again, thank you so much, Sayam, and thanks all of Team Wyse for hosting this incredible event. If you, any of the attendees who are still here, if you want to suggest topics for future discussions or future webinars we want to hold, feel free to drop that here or go on to Wyse's page and let us know what other sessions we can host going ahead.
And
Thank
also,
you
guys,
so
if
much,
you
guys.
liked this session and you think it was really insightful, do give a shout out about this event,
Yeah,
tag
that'd
Wyse
be
and
super
the
cool.
community link. So the community link and the app link, everything is on the chat. I'll pop it up again. So do
Yeah.
give us a shout out in LinkedIn. That would be really great. And stay tuned for the further sessions. We would be having this quite frequently for the generative AI community. So yeah, that's it, guys.
Yeah, so there's a closing note from us also. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in today. I think there are a lot of very interesting links shared from all the speakers, as well as Wyse and Applied Singularity. So what we'll do, post this, we'll send you, a curated list of all of these links, so that you guys can reconnect with the speakers and as well as join the different communities. Great,
Cool.
thank you all.
Yeah.
Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Great catching up with all of you.
Thanks, Yash. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, Sayam. Great event.
Thanks, Priyank. Looking forward to you having in the next session.
Yep. Let's talk about it. Bye.
Yeah. Bye-bye.